Majo John Madden in Parque Acamal in Acamal, Mexico. I just made a video about how great it is watching these kids play in the park, how beautifully they play together. And I, being a clinical psychologist who minored in developmental psychology and did therapy with kids for many years, part of it full-time, I'm going to dare to say a pretty revolutionary thing about sibling rivalry, that it essentially does not exist in Mexico. It organizes so much of American psychological thinking about how kids grow up, birth order, position in the family, and sibling rivalry. And it does not exist in Mexico because kids have so much love, they don't have to compete for it. They live most kids in normal Mexican society, have a big extended family around them. They have aunts and uncles and grandparents giving them love. My family pursued the American dream. When I was born, we all lived together in the Irish neighborhood on the west side of Chicago. My mom's generation, you would identify where in Chicago you grew up by what parish you were in. So the Irish were all together, and our family was all just neighbors to each other at least. And at one point, my aunt and uncle, my mom's sister and her family, lived with our family. These days, we talk about it as a sign of economic downturn in the U.S., how many grown kids are going back and living at home. Well, it's normal in Mexico. It's how you do it. If you're single, you live with your parents and your brothers and, family. But we moved to the suburbs, and it was just our little nuclear family, my mom and dad and my younger brother and I. And because my dad was lost in alcohol and depression, it was only my mom who had love to give, and she was working. So we competed over the love, and I was the firstborn, and I was the miracle baby, and he came along a year and a half later, and he's also nice, but I was the king. And it was a major breakthrough in my 40s, I guess, or 30s, when I was at a personal growth workshop and faced the fact that I actively participated in just having so much fun. I actively participated in my brother being shoved into the shadows because there wasn't enough love to go around, and by God, I'm taking it. None of that was conscious when I was a kid, but it's exactly what went on. Because there weren't enough adults and brothers and sisters and just people around to give love. There's research that shows that Latino kids, even in the U.S., take physical pleasure from helping their brother, from giving something to their little brother, and that's the way they operate. If a 5-year-old falls in the park here, the 7-year-old will comfort them and take them over to mom or big brother for more comforting. It's a web. It's a web. It's so much healthier. If I get interested in a young woman like in her 20s, and I do sometimes, all ages really, but in Mexico there's no prejudice against that. No. And I'll do a whole tape about that. In Mexico, a 22-year-old dating a 72-year-old, nobody disapproves. It's just not a concept to them. If you're vital and interesting and fun, and you love them and you treat them nice, the parents will agree. Everybody will say that's great in Mexico. So I get interested in. I have had younger women I was interested in, but if they were single in their 20s, I knew they were living at home. Of course, they were living at home. Yeah, because that's the way they do it down here. So because there's so much love to go around, sibling rivalry almost does not exist. You don't have to fight over love when there's so much love to be had. It's true. It's just true. I feel like a renegade from the whole psychology profession to say in Mexico, throw out all the research on sibling rivalry because it does not apply. Just does not apply.